Hi, my name is Evania. I am the wife of Evan X. Brisbane. Who is Evan X. Brisbane? Evan X. Brisbane is a man who was caught up in the Three Strikes Law's web. Evan sits in Folsom Prison currently. He's did 14 years, almost, on a 25 to life sentence. A $600 check. No victim and no violence. Complete injustice. But I'm going to take you into the life of Evan X. Brisbane. We'll hear what his friends have to say about him. And really, before you pass judgment on someone, find out who they are. To take this man's life from him for something as small as a $600 check, I don't know how you could live with yourself.
My name's Anthony Myers, and I've known Evan Brisbane for over 28 years. I met him as a freshman at UCLA in the summer of 1983. But what I'm going to do for you is fast forward to February 24th, 2000. At the courtroom behind me, Evan was convicted of a petty forgery charge. He had the unfortunate nature to have two other convictions on his record. On May 10th, 2000, in the same courtroom, by the Honorable Arthur M. Lew, Evan was sentenced to 25 years to life for writing a check, ultimately putting his name on a check in an account that had no money, for the rest of his life in the state penal system. What they failed to do, Prosecutor McKinney and DA McKinney and Public Defendant DeGrout, failed to take any of the people who knew Evan, who knew who he was, as character witnesses to say the kind of person he was in the community, what he had done with his education, and the kind of man he was to him and his family. In making that decision on what they were going to do when they made that sentence. On May 10th, again, they sentenced him to life. In the state of California, the Three Strikes Law sentences anyone who has any crime that is considered a felony to life. This law is in direct opposition with the 8th Amendment, the U.S. Constitution, which says that anyone convicted of a crime has to be convicted with fair punishment. Now, what you're going to see in subsequent interviews from folks, that people who have known Evan are going to give you character witnesses. They're going to tell you about the man he was. His life changed that day back in Superior Court, but it hadn't changed his spirit and who he is. Right now, he sits in Folsom State Prison, unduly using up the rest of his life for petty forgery sentence, a petty forgery conviction. What you're going to see are people pleading for Evan to get out, for Evan to be released, because he's served his time. He's over and abundantly served his time. And going forward, we want to have that man, Evan Brisbane, and that time that he was sentenced here by the Honorable Arthur M. Lew reversed, and have him back in society where he needs to be. He has served his time. He has paid his dues. Thank you.
What I'd like to ask you is, how did this make you feel watching your friend of over 20 years get sentenced 25 to life for such a frivolous, victimless, nonviolent crime?
Well, you know, it's kind of funny when I talked to Evan during that time period. I was there when he was arraigned for the crime, and I did understand the nature of the crime, but not the levity of the sentencing that the state of California had on. for three-strike offenders. But even that being the case, I did understand that, generally, the law being the law, that generally the sentencing matches the crime. So when I went through these doors right here, my mindset was not of a person who would never see his friend again. It was of a person who was sorry that he had to go through this issue and may have to unduly spend whatever, be sentenced for it. But when Judge Arthur M. Lewis said that that he was going to be sentenced 25 years to life, and he did it without any level of emotion or any, it was as if he was sentencing a piece of meat to get fried on a grill. 25 to life. And I remember, some things never leave you. I remember it took a second, and I see around the courtroom, really it was a couple other people in there, but when it took a second for it to soak in, and Evan looked at me and I looked at him, he had the highest level of disbelief anybody could humanly have in their eyes, and I probably had the same amount. And we were two people looking at each other like, did he just really say that? Unbelievable. And subsequently, when I communicated with Evan, the first thing, we talked about, he's like, did he really? He had to ask the question, and I couldn't even answer it. And I was sitting there. Did he really just take away my life? And I said, yes. That's what he said, but maybe it's some type of a process that they have to say that, and maybe that's not really what it is. And then I guess it's one of those moments where it hit him. He's like, Anthony, they just sentenced me 25 to life, man. My life is gone. Over a damn check. My life. So yeah, when I came out, I was a different person when I went in.
I can imagine. It's amazing that he has his faculties. He's still in high spirits. And with the wealth of friends and family who love him dearly, to stand up and support him. And what we're basically trying to do is bring him back to this courtroom and have him walk as a free man out of those doors. That is what we're going to do.
And just in my love for Evan, I really, not anybody out there that's watching this, understand that the state of California, it has its three strikes laws for a reason. It's out there to attack recidivism for constant offenders, and I do understand that. But at some point in time, the sentence has to match the crime. And when you have the levity of someone's life taken away for a petty forgery charge, and you have the 8th Amendment sitting there, which says no one will be punished unduly, then you have to somehow step back and say, well, has the punishment matched the crime? Has the man served his time? He's well past serving his time. Did he make mistakes? Yes. But he's far beyond paid for those mistakes. And it's time for some retribution.
Thank you, Mr. Myers.
Again, this is Anthony Myers here talking about Evan Brisbane's high school days. He was a 3-year letterman here at Sarah High School. Played football, and those that know Evan know, in fact, his nickname here was Charge, because he was an inspirational person, not just in sports, but in academia. He finished at the top of his class here at Sarah High School. Again, that's how he made it into UCLA. Again, 3-year letterman, academia. After attending UCLA, continued to be an inspiration to the folks here, continuing a tutoring program here through his fraternity, Kappa Alpha Psi. When you think about his 3 years here at Sarah High, his 3 years here of making great resource of the academia that Sarah had to offer, you kind of get a better picture of the young man that he was growing up and the man that he became. Someone who took serious to whatever the point may have been, whether it been in academia or whether it been on the sports, on the football field. Those who know him by charge understand what I'm talking about. Leading the Serra to many victories out here on the Serra football field. So, again, this is another piece of the puzzle to put together not so much the negative part of the aspects of his life, but the positive parts of what made him the man that he is today. Honor roll student all 3 years. He graduated with a 3.86. I do believe. The only reason I remember that because we used to argue about as freshmen at UCLA who had the highest grade point average when we graduated out of high school. And back then, it was only up to a 4.0. Now they got to 4.4 something. But back then it was 4.0, and we used to make sure everybody knew how we did and where we came from.
Okay, and so state your name for me.
Karem Zaman.
Karem Zaman. And what is your relationship with Evan?
Evan is my frat brother and friend and mentor of sorts.
Okay.
So I've known him since 1987.
So,
when I was at UC Santa Barbara.
okay. How would you describe Evan's character?
Evan has a larger-than-life character. He's one of those people that has presence. So he's not mistakable. If you've met him, you know you've met him. And so he was something of a legend in my my chapter for my fraternity, Kappa Alpha Psi, and very dynamic individual, I'd say.
So what kind of other qualities, like leadership, that sort of thing?
Well, he was Polmark of the chapter.
Okay.
And there was, our chapter had, at the time, Tom Bradley was a member of LA alumni from our chapter. Arthur Ashe was still alive, alumni from our chapter. Johnny Cochran was still alive,
Okay.
alumni of our chapter. Bill Elkins, just a number of very prominent people at the time that was involved with the alumni chapter at the time that Evan was Polmark.
Okay. Now, to those who don't know what that means, can you explain?
Polmark is essentially the president or the head person of a fraternal chapter.
Now, would you put Evan in the same category as the ones that you mentioned in the alumni?
Well, I think he certainly had the potential for
Okay.
that type of leadership, and that's why Evan, certainly wasn't. We had some very, powerful people, and in terms of physical stature, he wasn't
Right.
the biggest or what have you, but his presence, was larger than his physical body, and he has a lot of passion in everything that he does.
Okay. Now, what all do you know about the Three Strikes Law?
I know 3 felonies
Okay.
in California and 25 years of life.
Okay. Now, given the crime that Evan is incarcerated for, writing a $600 check, a frivolous, no victim, frivolous, victimless, non-violent crime, how does that make you feel just as a human being that they would lock up a decent, well-educated man for 25 in life behind a $600 check?
I think you have to look at the time and place during the 1980s, and there are a lot of people that got picked up in one big swoop, and not all of those people really, it was just a blanket law that a felony is a felony is a felony. And for someone that went to UCLA, went to Morehouse, football star at Serra, well known, well liked, and was in that era of the 80s of drug usage and things that happen to people, a $600 check should not be the final end-all, be-all that's going to put you in bars 25 years of life, in my humble opinion.
That's right. If you could change this law, would you change it?
Absolutely, and I think that there's a lot of people, politicians, that support changing that law because it's too broad.
Now, give us a little background on who you are and what you do as a person so they can see the sort of people that he is associated with that are friends. Not saying that you're associated in any sort of outrageous sort of things, but just the type of person that you are, so they know that the type of friends that he have that have a real concern for his life.
Okay. Well, never been involved in anything. Don't have a record. College educated at graduate school. Worked in government and all levels of government, local, state, Capitol Hill. Now I'm an entrepreneur, small business owner, and won some awards, done some things, and still very involved in the community. And when I found out about this and people, were going to be speaking on Evan's behalf, I had to say my part, or say my piece, and hopefully, in some way, this will help with his efforts to become a free man again.
Definitely. Well, I do thank you, Karim, for your time and your patience and your peace on
Okay.
all right.
Thank you.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm pretty good. And can we get your name?
My name is Angus Bates.
Dr. Bates.
Dr. Angus Bates. That's correct.
And what is it exactly that you went to school for? Enlighten us, give us some background on who you are, exactly, what your educational background is.
I'm an educator by trade.
Okay.
I have 2 masters and a PhD. I have a master's in finance, and I have a master's in educational leadership, and my PhD is in educational leadership.
Awesome.
And so my particular area of skill is with K through 12 education.
Okay.
And so I've been a math teacher, a vice principal, district office personnel, as well as I've worked on the corporate level with all the big educational companies like Pearson Education, ETS, and also Texas Instruments.
Awesome.
And so my goal right now is my next stage of my life is going to be to make my pathway to superintendency. I'd like to be a superintendent of a large urban center like Los Angeles, Atlanta, New York.
Awesome.
Yeah,
I think those are goals that you will reach shortly.
Thank you.
And what schools did you attend?
I went to Morehouse College for my undergrad. Went to Clark Atlanta University for my master's in finance. That's where I went to business school.
Okay.
And then I did all my credential, my single subject teaching credential, my Tier 1, Tier 2 administrative credential at Mills College
Okay.
in Oakland, California. I did my PhD at University of California, Berkeley.
Okay, awesome. Now, how do you know Evan X?
I met Evan, actually, this is about, I'll say, 1988 at Morehouse College. As you know, Morehouse is located in Atlanta, Georgia.
Right.
And being that we were all from California, all the Californians we hang together because we're so far from home, 3,600 miles from home. So
Right.
we all stick together. So
Makes
that's
sense.
yeah, definitely. And, so we make it kind of feel like it's a home away from home when you can hang with all your California folks, and specifically your Los Angelinos, I guess you could say. And so that's how I met Evan. He was from Los Angeles, and we all hung together. He was like a big brother to me. Mentored me. I looked up to him. Even though he was a Kappa, I'm an Omega now, but I still looked up to him as a big brother. And so that's how I met Evan. I met Evan at Morehouse College. That was my sophomore year.
Enlighten me on the word mentor in reference to Evan, because this is the second time I've heard that, and from a different person.
Right. And you can say, I think I heard someone else say Evan's stature in no way isn't any indication of, he's like a rising giant, a small giant.
Right.
And so, his character, his heart is one of I'd say a 700-pound gorilla.
Okay.
If you can explain in terms.
That makes sense.
Despite his stature or his how tall he is and what have you, but he has a lot of heart, and I think people gravitate to that. He's an alpha male. I'm an alpha male, and so alpha males gravitate to one another, and he's a leader, and so that's what made me gravitate towards that. I'm not a follower, but I'm a leader. So when you see other leaders, you gravitate towards that, and you want to also, pick their brain, and especially being in college, you want to find out, what were their mistakes, what were their pitfalls, so that you can make the right choices.
Can you share with myself and the listening audience, the public, a couple of stories about Evan?
Yes. There's one that comes to mind. Like I said, I mentioned that he's a Kappa and I'm an Omega, but I think this story is, we knew each other, he knew me before I was an Omega, so it's always stuck in my head that he was somebody that I looked up to, regardless of the fraternity, regardless of him going to UCLA, he was at Morehouse, he was just something like a big brother. Right. And so, I'm an only child, and so he was always a big brother to me. So that's how it was, being at Morehouse, you're 3,600 miles away. Not that I can't hang on my own, but it's always good to have somebody to look up to. And Evan was that person. So that's the story I give you without going into any detail, but that he was a big brother to me. And so most of the stories that I can relish on are stories of one that, he made me feel like I had a big brother.
Okay.
And that's why I, gravitated towards it.
Now, what do you know about the Three Strikes Law?
As I understand it today, the Three Strikes Law, from what I know, once you get your third strike, you're treated as if it's, I guess, the third strike, no matter if it's serious or not serious, it's 25 to life. That's what I understand it as.
Did you know initially that law was only meant for violent offenders?
Yes, I did.
Now, being that Evan is locked up behind a $600 check, how does that make you feel about this Three Strikes Law?
It's beyond sad, and it's frustrating, because here's a brother who like I said, was in the right places, went to the right schools, pledged one of the right groups. He pledged Kappa, like I said, I pledged Omega. He was just went to all right places. It's almost like a wrong place, wrong time. You know what I mean? And there's so many brothers, as I told you, I'm an educator. I see so many brothers, young, who are, continuously being a part of that system. And we know that this system is not one of education.
Not at all.
It is not, there's nothing in there that's positive, but being who Evan is, he makes it positive. Right. He makes progress. And so that's what I don't like the Three Strikes, because he's being affected. His life is being affected. I think it's time. Enough is enough. Right. He's done his time. Thank God that he has a big heart, and that he has his mental together. Right. And enough is enough. And like you said, over a $600 check. Come on. Enough is enough. And we know it's a conspiracy. There's a reason why there's more black men in prison than there is on the street. And so, come on, and he's a victim of that. And you hate to see someone like that who's been in the right places. Right. He wasn't in, just made a mistake. Man, we all make mistakes, but he hasn't killed anybody. He hasn't done anything like that. I just think he's been wrongfully detained. I think so.
And would you call him a very well-educated and spiritual man?
I would definitely call him a very well-educated and spiritual man. Just as I mentioned, the places, those institutions that I mentioned, UCLA, Morehouse College, those are not B-grade institutions. Those are high. Those are A. Those are the top echelon.
So you're saying he was at the upper echelon?
Yeah, he attended the upper echelon chapter educational institutions, and Yeah, he's part of a upper echelon black fraternity. He's also spirit-wise, he's one of the the most highly spirited black organization with the nation. So it's just it's not like he's a blood, and he's a part of a drug cartel.
Right.
He's nothing that has to do with any. The organizations that we mentioned, the places that he's been a part of aren't criminal, or they're not criminal organizations or criminal institutions. So
They're very positive.
right, and he's been a part of those positive, not just slipping in and out. I mean, he completed various levels in those institutions,
Right.
and so like I say, I believe it's just a wrong place, wrong time.
Right.
And too many of us get caught, and you hate to see someone like this. It happens so much where one of the good ones, he's a good one, and he needs a, this needs to end. I can't say it enough, man. I mean, my words can't even express on how this needs to end. As I told you, if I had the funds to do so, I would do it. But this needs to end, because this is his life, and luckily that this particular 3 Strikes is on the ballot this year. So hopefully we can make some progress, and I'll do whatever it takes to express. We know this is a conspiracy. We know that against black males. It's time to be done.
I agree. Well, thank you, Dr. Bates. It's
Yes.
been a real pleasure speaking with you and enlightening the world on Evan Brisbane, putting character, putting family, putting love,
Yes.
in putting a face to a wonderful name, to a wonderful man who's a wonderful part of society, not one who is destructive,
Right.
one who's very productive and who believes in building up.
Exactly. And like I say, we all make mistakes, but this is a thing of the lesson has been learned.
I agree.
And so enough is enough. It's
He's
time for
greatly displaced.
greatly displaced, and it's time for him to move. It's time for them to move him forward. He's not the person that should be in there. He's not the profile. Not that any of us should be in there, but
Right.
at this particular stage, enough is enough. 13 years, come on.
Right.
And then it's on the ballot now too, so that shows you there's been some insufficiencies. There's been
I
some
agree.
discriminating against. There's been some, just some monkey business.
Before we go, do you have any concerns for his life and his health
Well,
in the confines?
Well, you know what? Evan is his mental is so strong that it can't break you. And you know what? And it can break the best of them. That place, as we mentioned, is not one of positivity, but the best will survive. The strong will survive.
It's not a place to be desired.
Right, but if you can be strong, and he is one, and he's got heart. If anybody's gonna make it, he'll make it.
Right.
He is the one. Looking at what's happened this far, he's the one, and that's, if we put it down on the table, you put it all down. If you look at everything, he's a model citizen in there. Look what he's in there for his time. Come on, what more can he learn there?
Right.
What more time can he do? Come on, so I don't, to answer your question, no, I don't think he can break him, even if he had to stay there for life. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about moving his life forward,
Right.
because he served his time. Time served.
Right.
Well served.
Extremely served.
Extremely served. There you go. So that's where I feel, man. It's that's why we're here. That's why I'm here to express that. Hopefully we can take this to the next level and make it just make it some very important news that, hey, this needs to stop.
I agree.
I hope we can make this an example for all brothers. Say, hey, this is happening. But I feel this needs to end.
I think by all of you coming out like this,
Yes.
and all of us joining together, the power or the movement
Yes.
to move him from that place is going to be great. The energy is
Definitely.
strong. When people speak about Evan, they all have a smile on their face.
Yes.
Because he's a very lovable individual.
Right.
And I see that same smile and that same look at everybody.
Like I said, I don't even know you know, the things that he's been charged for, the priors, and now I don't even know that.
Right.
It's almost like what is that? You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm serious, I never saw that.
Right.
You know, you know, so that's something that, you know, I'm a little bit perturbed about that as well. Like, come on, that's not even that. It's not that guy.
Right.
It's not Evan. Not the Evan I know.
Right.
You know, not which deserves this particular punishment.
It's overkill.
It's right. It's ludicrous.
Extremely.
It's preposterous. It's just,
extreme
it doesn't-
just comes to mind anytime.
Yeah, it's just like,
totally preposterous.
come on. It's too, yeah, come on, enough is enough. And, you know, I don't see how, you know, he's someone that is a model citizen,
Right.
how they would not, you know, but it's a system. And we know, what we do know is once you're in there, it's hard, you know, it's not hard to get, but that's just some place we don't need to be.
Right.
We need to be in those places that I just mentioned that he was in.
Right.
UCLA, Morehouse College, Kappa Alpha Psi, Nation of Islam. Those are places of, you know, progress and positivity and success. And, you know, those are the places that we know.
Mm-hmm.
Needs to stop, man. And hopefully this can, I'm hoping. Because this is not, it's injustice. Total injustice, extreme injustice, as you say.
It's heartbreaking.
It is, but there's you know, there's hope. I mean,
There's hope.
you know, there's gotta be hope. I mean, this is hope right here, there's progress. We're farther ahead than we were last week.
Right.
And that's the problem, just like you said. Just, you gotta do things, you know, it's on the schedule. It's not mine, not yours, theirs, his. And there's a schedule though.
Right.
And all you have to do, as long as we do our job, it'll happen when we least likely expect it. So I know it's gonna happen. I told him that. Just make sure we have our ducks in a row. Our I's dotted, our T's crossed. Because when the time comes, it's gonna happen. You'll be like, dang. You know what I mean? So that's what I do now.
Well, thank you, Dr. Bates.
No problem.
And can you state your name for me?
Dominic Robbins.
Dominic Robinson. And Dominic, what do you do?
I'm actually in product placement and
Awesome.
brand integration.
Awesome. So you take like a Coca-Cola soda and put it in the movie.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
You see Tom Cruise going, I love Coke. That's what I do.
Gotcha. Okay. Dominic is Dom for short.
Amongst other names, yes. But Dom definitely rings probably the truest.
Okay. And how do you know Evan Brisbane?
Me and Mr. Brisbane go back to our college days.
Okay.
And actually met him with two other gentlemen, Derek Brooks and Mr. Greg Hardy, or Dr. Greg Hardy, I should say.
Okay.
And we knew that they all came up from UCLA. They transferred down to the AUC. Got to meet those guys, and then suddenly, you know, we had this camaraderie. You know, I think most of it was because where they were from.
Right.
And then when we talked to each other, it was almost like, man, this is a breath of fresh air, because you dudes know exactly what we're about.
Right.
So after that, we became fast friends, and all of us were kind of inseparable.
Okay.
So that's actually where I met him.
Okay. Now, how would you describe Evan's character and personality?
Well, first of all, he was a strapping young man. And no, actually, just one of those times we had a kind of a little special bond, because we'd actually be able to go off on our own and just talk about all different types of things. And for me, it's, if somebody is cerebral, it really, that does it for me. You know, when they can talk, you know, very passionately about what they do or what their dreams and goals are. So he always, you know, he kind of, his passion for, you know, just life was kind of cool to me. So we all always had a good rapport.
Okay. Now, I interviewed John Lee earlier.
Mm-hmm.
He had no idea that Evan was locked up on the street, 3 strikes law. You yourself
Hmm?
were not aware
No.
of it. How did that, when you heard that, what was your feelings and thoughts?
It was like, it's, first of all, it was unbelievable. Secondly, it's somebody just talking, you know. is that really true? You're thinking, no, because, you know, the dude I knew, you know, there's nothing heinous about him, you know, good spirit. Like I said, always had good things to say about me. Was always upbeat. So I couldn't see, that was kind of shocking for me.
How does that make you feel, knowing that he has $25? Let me set this scene for you.
Mm-hmm.
A $600 check. No victim, no violence. Third strike. Has been locked up for 13 years of those 25 years.
Wow.
Of that 25-year sentence. How does that make you feel, just as a human being, just as his friend?
Just seems, you know, I mean, for him to have to endure that, it's heartbreaking. It really is. It's you know, sometimes we don't always stay as close as we need to, but now
Right.
makes it that much tougher. So once you look at the severity of the situation, it becomes, it's horrifying.
Yes. It's almost unreal.
Yes. I mean, it's actually playing it out right now. It's kind of, it's like, whoa, this is what we're going through. This is not what you want. You don't want to meet your friends at funerals. You don't want to, you know, talk about your friends in this light.
Right.
So it's one of those that it's like, wow, it's, you know, it's different if you move to, you know, Alaska. Okay, won't see you as much, but now I can't. So it's not good.
It's a hard pill to swallow.
Absolutely.
If you could talk to the judge who sentenced him,
Mm-hmm.
that wears the robe, that slams the mallet, that makes the final decision, what would you say to him to try to dissuade him from his conviction?
I would first, you know, let him know the character of this man. I would let him know that in the past, you know, all of my memories have been fond memories. So I'd also ask him that I know that you do this on a daily basis, but if you were able to just stop, take a minute to get to know this man, I think you would see that this thing would probably be null and void.
Well, I do appreciate you for coming out at such a late hour.
Not a problem whatsoever.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.